found my way into coaching, or this coaching experience, by seeing an advert for this event this time last year. And I'd been thinking about using my professional skills and interests and turning to full-time coaching. So I have been coaching or in coaching situations informally in my corporate career, but it was not part of my everyday experience, although that was definitely where I got a lot of the highs of my day. My background's actually in marketing, communications, and strategy. So, it's not the coaching environment, but a lot of my work was with leadership teams, and I often found them seeking me out for guidance or to be what I really think of now as a thinking partner. So helping them work out where they want to go, what they want to do strategically and personally. So it was my niche. I just didn't know it at the time. And I saw this advert for this event, went along, curious. And I was fascinated to really find out more about the world of coaching in general. And I really enjoyed the experience of the open event and wanted to know more. And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to invest personally in the full course. So I chose to actually do the coaching skills course, which is like a 2-day course. And I did that, I think, about a month or so later than this open event. And it was a great opportunity really to focus on the skills of being a coach. I enjoyed the opportunity to really think about how do I listen, and that was delivered in a really lovely way, building up from pure listening up until sort of environmental listening and asking questions and so on. I think when I came in, I was really hung up on how do I get the basket of questions that I need to get the answers out of the partner that I have in front of me, and I left with a very different perspective. I was basically told by Kay at the time that questions were not really the thing that I had to worry about so much. And that was a lovely thing to take away from the skills course, was that it was taking the striving out of being a coach and getting the confidence that just being there and being present is actually the gift that you give to your clients. So my experience on that coaching skills course was really a positive one. Developed a lot of contacts that I actually talked with outside of the session a lot, as we all were exploring whether this was a journey we wanted to continue on. And so I did, and I went on to the practitioner course. It started in March of this year. And I still remember that was probably the last pre-lockdown meeting that I had. And I think we were all still a bit hesitant even then about, we didn't shake hands, or, it was elbow bumps, or, there was still a bit of not feeling our way, but trying to figure out how we were going to meet. And I think we all knew that there was a good chance that this was not going to be the environment that we would continue to learn in. And it did, in fact, move online. And I think, John and Kay, it was your first experience of delivering the course that way. And I think we all experimented together on how to create that strong environment. And we were very surprised about how well it functioned. This breakout situation, high trust between the participants, huge support from AoEC, both John and Kay, and from Georgia and the team, to make that happen. So I was actually a huge skeptic. I had joined, or I'd taken up the opportunity of this course as a chance to get out of my home and meet people, because I've worked from home for 20 years. So actually getting out of the home was important to me. And I felt that was a huge barrier, but actually once I tried it, it worked really, really well. The thing that I learned from the course probably the most was this idea of getting to know who I am better, getting to know who I want to, how I want to show up as a coach was the biggest, I guess, realization for me. It wasn't about, how many books you read and how many different frameworks you can study, although that was all really fascinating and it was great input. It was really just getting that chance to pause, reflect, experiment in a safe way about how I want to coach and how I want to be there to help bring out the best of people that I work with. And it's funny, even though I've now graduated from that course, I'm actually coaching, I would say, semi-full-time professionally. I gave up my job, and this is now my life. it's also my life in so many other ways as well, because it permeates, you know, my friendships and my family in a very cautious way. I don't go out and try and coach my kids, and I do get called up if I'm using my coaching voice with my children. But I notice more about life. I notice more about the people I'm in relationships with, whether they are working relationships or family relationships. I just have a deeper appreciation for the moment. And I just think it couldn't have happened in a better year for me, actually, with everything going on. Being more present, being more grounded has been a huge gift. And I think I was saying on Friday when we were in our graduation class, we were asked about reflecting on, you know, what we'd learned. And I just felt that this whole experience had given us such an edge as coaches, as partners and supporters of the workforce, because we've learned how to coach in this environment, how to get a really meaningful conversation, how to construct an environment that is safe. And I really credit that with the support and guidance of John and Kay, but also of the cohort that we worked with. So that's my journey to date. My practice is not just paid work. This year I'm doing an awful lot of transition coaching for people who are struggling to find work. And that has been a lovely way to use some of my lockdown time and practice hours to try and support people who are going through a really tough time. So again, I feel like this has been a sort of set of skills and time and I've been handed that I can share with other people. So I've really been grateful for that. That's a great question, because it's probably one I still ask, right? Because when do we ever really know that we've made the right decision? That said, I can feel it. I felt it, and I'd been thinking about it, I think, for quite a while. It wasn't just I stumbled across this invite and thought, oh yeah, I'll try that. I had been thinking about how do I bottle the stuff I love at work, which was these kind of conversations, showing and opening up potential in people, helping them be better. That was really what lit me up. So I was lucky because I had the opportunity to leave my job in quite a good circumstance. I guess maybe I thought I didn't anticipate this year, right? Nobody did. So when I gave my job up in February, maybe if I hadn't done that, I might have stumbled a bit more, but I'd given my job up before lockdown, before pandemic really flourished. And I was committed to making this work. And I had created a personal situation for myself. So I know I had a bit of runway to study, to set up my practice, and to know that that's going to take some time to establish before I'm back to my pre-freelance earnings, if that makes sense. So, I'm not a overly risky person. So, I like to have the right plan in place. So I felt financially well enough to take this risk. And I felt professionally obliged and personally obliged to take this path, because I knew it was what I wanted to do. And I had the support of my friends and family and resources to make that something that was a relatively soft thing to do. And I'm stupidly optimistic. So I really am that sort of field of dreams person, right? So I trust in the benefit that my clients say that they find from me, and the word of mouth that they are now giving to me to make my practice grow and grow. So ask me again in a year, but it still feels like the right decision. I think I just knew, to answer your question, I think I just knew I owed it to myself to stop striving at something that wasn't really fulfilling me and move into something that was, I felt more of a gift sounds really big-headed, but something that I felt like I was strong at, and I got a personal satisfaction from helping. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of resources out there. AoEC is definitely one of them. I mean, there's a lot of people who have done the same thing through that process. And I think your cohort will also be a source of strength and guidance in that. John and Kay have great things to share. On the practical side, I also worked a lot with Business Gateway. So in Scotland, Business Gateway, they provide advice on how do you set up and run a company in that kind of way. But I am not great at networking. The word really strikes fear and panic into me. But once I started talking to other coaches, the community in Scotland's so great, and they're all very happy to give advice. So I found a lot of groups through LinkedIn, and just, you know, can I buy you a coffee and can I pick your brain? Goes quite far. So, and you're welcome to, if you want to reach out to me after this and talk. I'm not, you know, far down the path, but I've got a lot of input that I'm working through.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are very, my experience is people are very generous with giving you their experiences, ideas, tips, and, you know, use it or don't. Sharing with detachment, right, John? You know, when I first started doing my practice coaching, when it had moved from informal conversations in my work into now you're a coach, you know, people are coming to you as a coach. It's like you're a doctor. So I don't know. I think they all felt challenging. Every question that I was asked or every scenario I found myself in I felt the huge weight of the responsibility that was coming at me. That said, I think that's the newness of it, and going along with the guidance, I think, and practice that I had on the coaching course, through the different modules that we have. I started to realize it's not my responsibility to answer those questions or to make things right for the person in front of me. It's my responsibility to create a safe environment, to create a place to explore and discuss. I don't have the answers. I'm not there to have the answers. So I think there's certain things to work to pay attention to around safety and safeguarding. But outside of those kind of issues, it's a shared discussion, and the responsibility is with the client. I'm there to ask questions, take it slow, give them a chance to pause and reflect. And I think knowing that you don't have to have every answer right now, that very few things are fires, is actually quite reassuring for everybody. And to know that we can park some things if it's tough. But I'm sorry I didn't hear some of the practices that you did earlier, because from the reflections, I think there were some great questions, I'm sure, that came out of that practice, which was around, just noticing people's energy and interest, what their body language is doing, just listening around and trying to slow down and tune into that moment and stay with their feelings, rather than trying to get on to the solving of stuff, which is really where I come from. I came from a project management perspective. What's the result I'm trying to get to? What's the quickest path to get there? But actually the slowing, the not striving, the reflecting that was a really big outcome for me from the course. And I think as you go through the different modules, you will experience that for yourself as you practice the different techniques, and you just have more hours under your belt of not worrying that you are responsible for solving this problem. You're there to partner with someone to help them discover more about themselves and their wherewithal to be in the world and to deal with the challenges that they want to tackle. I think one of the things I found was the power of the beginner's mindset. So coming into a situation not really knowing is actually more empowering than coming into a situation where you really do know, you think you know everything, because your instinct then is to problem solve, right? I know that problem, I've done this, have you thought of that, So actually not knowing is quite useful, because it sort of overrides that instinct. And actually some of the practice clients that I worked with, who have now become part of my main practice, were in healthcare, which I knew nothing about really. They were frontline healthcare workers, and not knowing, other than my own experience as a consumer of healthcare services, made it much easier for me to really listen, because I had to listen. I didn't know what they were talking about. So actually, I think it can be an advantage.